We have seen a few things, right? I think we discussed about a few things, especially with respect to identification of the subordinate clauses. One was that it can either be found in the subject position or in the object position in a sentence, right? Second thing is they won't have independent existence of their own. They will always be accompanied by one subordinating conjunctions like that, who, where, when, so on and so forth. And um, other part was that about the functions of these subordinate clause. That is, what kind of subordinate clause is the one that you see in a sentence depends on what it functions like in a sentence, right? So if it works like a noun, then it's a noun subordinate clause or nominal subordinate clause. If it functions like an adjective, then it's going to be adjectival, and if it works like an adverb, then an adverbial. Um, to identify, what you should also know is what this noun and adjective and adverb do in a sentence, right? So let's revise by talking about that so that it becomes easy for us to understand these questions. Noun, you should understand that when you pick out a particular subordinate clause, and if you're analyzing it for whether it is a noun clause or not, you'll have to see if it can be replaced, whatever you have chosen as your subordinate clause. Check if it can be replaced using any random noun or a pronoun. Okay, it does not have to make a lot of sense, right? It could be anything. Try replacing it with something that is another noun or a pronoun. If that is possible, then it means that it's a nominal clause, right? Nominal or noun clause, as it's called. If it is adjectival clause, the check is to see if it is accompanied by a noun. Because remember, what are adjectives? What are the functions of, what is the function of an adjective? To, what does it do? Don't know? Parts of speech, English one. What do
Modifies noun and pronoun.
modifies noun. And so basically they are modifiers, or let's say they add additional information. They give you more information about a noun or a pronoun. So if you know this thing, then you can check whether the subordinate clause that you have picked out from the sentence is doing the task of an adjective. That is it modifying a noun or a pronoun? If you can identify that part, then you can easily mark it off as an adjectival clause, right? Subordinate clause. Now, adverbial, what are the functions of an adverb? Again, same thing, what do adverbs do? They also modify, right? But what all things can they modify? They can modify either a verb, it can modify an adjective, and it can modify another adverb. So this is something that you can check. Additionally, what you would do is whether you check whether the subordinate clause that you have chosen is telling you something about, say, the time of the action, the manner of the action. Is it telling you some condition? It's presenting some condition or purpose or reason for something to have happened, right? Or is it telling you something about the place of the occurrence of the action? If these details are presented in the subordinate clause that you have chosen, then what is it? It is easily the adverbial clause, right? So this is how you're going to identify the function. Basically, you should know what adverbs, adjectives, and nouns do in a sentence. If you're sure about it, then it's not a task for you to figure out what kind of a clause this is, right? You will on the screen see one more word, which is the infinitival clauses. If I'm not wrong, this is also a part of the lecture, because I remember seeing questions related to this. Haven't you come across this at all? Last time I asked somebody, they told me no, it is not. Appositive is not, I have checked it already, but infinitival clauses, haven't you seen this in the lectures? No? Nobody remembers? Okay, so just tell me whether you have seen it in the lecture or not. What is your understanding of this kind of a clause? Infinitival clause. Nobody? What are infinitives? Can anybody give me an example for this? So finiteness, non-finiteness of a clause. This is definitely something that has been discussed, I'm sure. Especially if you've gone through the if and whether clauses and all that, it should be not a difficult thing for you to understand. Just give me a minute. I'm looking for a book which I think has these details, but you should know it otherwise also. Okay. Since you are not answering, I think I'll have to confirm whether this is a part of it or not. Context terms, I will advise. See here much. It is. See, finite and non-finite infinitive clause. So you did not see this?
Yes, ma'am, it is there, ma'am.
It is there. Yeah. So why did you not tell me? I've been asking for some time now. Last week also, appositive is not there that I remember, but infinitive, finite, non-finite clauses are a part of this. You need to understand what's a finite clause. When do you call something finite in grammar? What, or let me put it the other way, what gives finiteness to a sentence?
We can't measure it or like there's no end.
It is related to, so, okay, you're saying it cannot be measured, there is no end. So what is it related to?
Quantity.
There is no end, it cannot be measured. What comes to your mind the moment you say that? Time, right? Time,
Time.
right? And what shows time in a sentence? What is it that tells you about the time? Tense,
Adverb.
right? Tense,
Tense.
not
Tense.
adverb.
Yeah.
Tense.
Tense.
Tense is what performs the task of telling you the time of the action. So, finiteness is the property of a verb in the sentence. Tense is what shows you time, and finiteness or non-finiteness or infiniteness, whatever you call it, that is the property of the verb in the sentence. The verb, so usually it's a verb that you say that this verb is finite, this verb is in non-finite, right? How do you know that? You know that when you look at a sentence and there is no tense in it, then you say that the verb in this sentence is non-finite because you don't get a sense of the time. That verb cannot tell you about the time, so it is non-finite. Okay, if it tells you the time, whatever that is, past, present, future, then it is a finite verb. Okay, now any clause, any subordinate clause that you have picked, if it has a verb, what is the condition for a clause? It needs to have a subject and a verb, right? So if the verb in that clause is non-finite, that is, if it is not telling you time, then it is a non-finite clause. Okay, that is how you decipher this. Got this? Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you're doing that, there are three things that will give non-finiteness nature to a verb. That includes the infinitive form of the verb, which is to plus the base form of the verb. So to eat, to run, to drink, whatever the verb is. To plus the base form of verb is one form of infinitive. So it has no tense. When I say, I want to eat a mango, what is your verb in the sentence? The main verb in the sentence, that is, what is the finite verb in the sentence? I want to eat a mango.
Want.
Yeah, right. What is to eat? This is the infinitive verb, right? As in the non-finite verb. That doesn't tell you anything about the time. It cannot show tense. Want is what tells you what the time of the action is. Okay. So that is one form of infinitive form of the verb, non-finite verb. Second things are participles. I think I told you this in the last class. ING forms. Learning a new language. Now, what is learning here? This is not a verb. This is a participle form. ING. Non-finite. Looks like a verb, but not actually a verb. It's a participle and also a you can also call it the non-finite form of the verb. So if you find this ing participle in a clause that you are picking as the subordinate clause, then that is also an infinitival clause or non-finite clause. Okay. Third part is ed, right? Ed suffixes. So learning a new language, ing participle, ed participle. Dressed in new clothes, they strolled along the garden. So dressed in new clothes, this is your subordinate clause. And what kind of clause? It's an infinitive clause or non-finite clause. Because again, that also cannot show you. It looks like a verb, looks like, sits very well in the grammatical suffixes of a past tense, but it is not. Okay, it's not telling you anything about the time. Got this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So I think this is the only thing which can cause a bit of confusion. Rest of them are fine because they are based on functions, so it's not very tough for you to handle. Or maybe it is tough, I do not know. If you're not practicing, if you're not reading, that it might be. Otherwise, it is okay. Huh? So I'll leave that up to you, but let us look at these questions closely so that you can get a little bit of a practice on this, okay? The first sentence, right? So you have two tasks now. You will have to pick out the subordinate clause and then tell me what is it functioning as in what type of or what kind of subordinate clause this is, okay? So the ancient discipline of rhetoric was intended to prepare the beginner for tasks that involved speaking in public. Which part of this is a subordinate clause?
Ma'am, that involve.
Yes, that involved speaking in public is your subordinate clause. Is that the only subordinate clause?
Was intended to prepare the beginner for task.
Okay, so was intended is not a part of your
Okay.
subordinate clause, right? To prepare the beginner for tasks that involve speaking in public. This is your first subordinate clause. Within that clause, subordinate clause, you have another subordinate clause, which she answered, which was that involved speaking in public. Okay. So there are two subordinate clauses. Now you tell me what kind of subordinate clauses they are. The first one, to prepare the beginner for tasks that involve speaking in public.
Infinite, ma'am.
Infinite. Okay. Yeah, everybody understand this. This is an infinitable or non-finite clause, whatever you want to call it. Okay, that is the kind of subordinate clause. Why? Because you have. Why is it non-finite? It has to prepare, right? So to prepare the beginner. To prepare is what? It is a to infinitive form of the verb. It's non-finite. It doesn't show tense. Now, what about the second one? That involved speaking in public. Tell me also the reason why you would say whatever it is. That involved speaking in public.
Ma'am,
Is
to
that
present.
sorry?
Ma'am, the clause will be to present in the.
No. We are not done, right? We are still on the first one. We did not decide what the type of subordinate clause is for the first one. For the second subordinate clause, that involved speaking in public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Anyone
what
else?
question, ma'am?
Sorry. First question.
Yeah. Now, what did you ask, ma'am?
See, there are two subordinate clauses in that sentence. The first one is answer. The type is infinite, right? But it also has a second one that involved speaking in public, right? What is that? What kind of subordinate clause is that?
Adverbial, ma'am.
Adverbial. Okay. Can you explain why it is adverbial? Others too, you can try, okay? It's okay if you're wrong, but at least then you know why you went wrong. When you answer and you get a wrong response, no, you will remember things better than listening to others silently. Why is it adverbial? Okay, now look at it this way. Tell me, is the subordinate clause that involves speaking in public related to anything else in that sentence? Is it about anything in that sentence? Not sentence, the subordinate clause. To prepare the beginner for tasks that involve speaking in publics. That involves speaking in public. Is it related to anything else in that subordinate clause?
I'm the beginner's task. So
Look at it closely. It is tasks, right?
yes,
Tasks
ma'am.
that involve speaking in public, right? It is about the task. What kind of tasks that involve speaking in public? Okay. So what is tasks now? It's a noun, right?
So it will be
So
noun clause.
no, no.
Oh,
Task is a noun that involved speaking in public is a description for that. It's giving additional details about the task. So it's modifying the task. So
yes.
what is it? It's an adjectival clause.
Adjective.
Okay. If it was adverbial, it will tell you other things. It will tell you time, it will tell you place, it will tell you manner, it will tell you reasons, it will tell you
Yes, ma'am.
conditions, right? Yeah. This is not that. This is directly about tasks that involve speaking in public. What kind of tasks that involve speaking in public? It's a direct relation to the noun task. It's a modification. Hence, it's an adjectival clause. Okay. Right. Now, next one, second one. The classical view of how to present a case in argument involved a structure of sequent elements. So all this is about rhetorics. Okay. If you're wondering what this set of sentences are about. Okay. The classical view of how to present a case in argument involved a structure of sequent elements. What is your subordinate clause here? Very easy, this one is. It's just like straight in front of your eyes.
Ma'am, to present a case in argument.
To present a case in argument. But can you, okay, let me check this one. Classical view of how you can't throw that part out. If it's a subordinate clause, it should also be replaceable. So if you just take to present a case in argument out of that sentence, then and you try to fit in something else in its place, it will be ungrammatical, right? But if you use how to present a case in argument, then you can do. Check the classical view of something involved a structure of sequent elements.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, as opposed to a classical view of how to present a case in argument involved. That is also possible, no, actually. Okay. Yeah. So in either cases, what is this subordinate clause? What kind of subordinate clause this is? We'll keep it as how to present a case in argument, okay? Because otherwise, how is also what you call as the subordinating conjunction, which is also used as relative pronouns, like this who, when, where. So how is also classified under that. So how to present a case in argument would be your subordinate clause. And what kind of subordinate clause?
Adverb.
Look at it again.
Ma'am, is it infinite?
No. Can you replace it with a noun? The classical view of whatever, something involved a structure of sequent elements. Can I say something like can I put some word like that there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So if you're able to do that, then what kind of clause is it?
Adjective.
No.
Nominal,
You're
ma'am.
replacing, yeah, it is nominal or noun clause, right? You're replacing it with a noun or a pronoun. So if replacement with a noun and a pronoun is possible, then it is what? It's usually a noun clause. But if there is, description about a given noun in the sentence, like in the previous case, then it is adjectival. Adverbial will give you other things. It will be closely related to the verb in the sentence usually. Okay, so we'll check where we have that. But this one is a case of a noun clause. Okay. Now, third one, stylistic propriety was formalized by the Roman rhetoricians who distinguished the three levels of the grand, the middle, and the plain style. Stylistic propriety was formalized by the Roman rhetoricians. Just give me a minute. I have a feeling this must be a positive. Let me check. Who distinguished the Yeah, okay, we skip this one because this is not a part of your syllabus. This is an example of an appositive clause. We go to the fourth one, okay? Oops, where's it? Yeah, from these ideas on style originated the notion of decorum, continually discussed by English Renaissance writers. From these ideas on style, three, please don't look at that. That there's a subordinate clause, but it's not a part of your course description, so we won't do that. Fourth one, from these ideas on style originated the notion of decorum, continually discussed by English Renaissance writers. Which part of this is the subordinate clause?
The first part, ma'am, from these ideas.
Originated the notion, from these ideas on style originated the notion of decorum. That's a full sentence, no? It's an independent clause. We don't have anything that is subordinated. From these ideas on style originated the notion of decorum. And from here, is if you're saying this because you think it is showing time, it's not showing time. This is used here as a preposition. So there's no scope of adding adverb there. Although it is, the type of clause here is actually an adverbial clause. But tell me which part of this is the subordinate clause. The latter part, right? Continually discussed by English Renaissance writer, right? It has continually, it tells you how, right? Gives you information about how the discussion happened. This one is an example of an adverbial clause, okay? Any doubts regarding that? Why we chose continually? Is this clear enough to you that why this is a subordinate clause and also why adverbial?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's look at the fifth one. The study of rhetoric is complex because new conventions of performance for particular purposes are being generated all the time. So which part of this whole of the sentence is an independent clause? Can you tell me?
The study of
Hmm.
rhetoric
The study of rhetoric is
is complex.
complex, right? This part is your independent clause. So then what is your subordinate clause? The rest of
The
it, right?
later part is.
Because new conventions of performance for particular purposes are being generated all the time. What kind of subordinate clause? It's giving you what reason?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is this? This is
Adverbial.
adverbial, right? Adverbial. It's giving you a reason, hence this is an adverbial clause. Okay, so reason, purpose, if it states purpose, if it gives you conditions, if it gives you reasons, then all of those cases would be considered as adverbial clauses. Sorry. Sixth one. It is not surprising that myth should be a prominent element in the rhetoric of persuasion. It's not surprising. Okay, not this one as well. This is also a case of a positive clause. Seventh one, go to the seventh one. In myths and parables, what we are asked to take literally is accompanied by one or more possible levels of interpretation. In myths and parables, what we are asked to take literally is accompanied by one or more possible levels of interpretation.
Ma'am, I think so. The
Already,
underlined part is a
yeah, it's the underlying part. Yes. What we are asked to take literally is your subordinate clause. Okay. Now, what kind of subordinate clause? It's directly occupying the subject position. So, if something occupies a subject position, then what has it to be? Something that functions like a noun or a pronoun, right? Nominal function, because subjects always either have a noun or a pronoun or something that can do the nominal function, right? Can you replace it with something dash is accompanied by one or more possible levels of interpretation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can say myths and parables or simply say myth or parables, right? So since it is replaceable by a noun or a pronoun, what kind of clause? Noun
Noun
clause,
clause.
right? Yeah. Okay. Eighth one, a view expressed by some modern critics is that creative writers are no more the complete masters of what they do than they are any other writers. A view expressed by some modern critics is that creative writers are no more the complete masters of what they do than are any other writers. Clue for you, there are two subordinate clauses in that sentence.
So one is, ma'am, maybe what they do from there, and another is that creative writers.
What they do then are, yeah, that is one subordinate clause, and the other one is that creative writers are no more the complete masters of what they do than are any other writers. Okay, these are the two. Got this? Now, what kind of subordinate clause? The first one, a view expressed by some is that. Both are the same in this case. Both are the same kind of subordinate clauses. Hmm. So a view expressed by some modern critic is dash.
And we
Can you
can
replace it with a
replace it.
correct. So then what is it? What
Noun
sort of a
clause.
noun clause, right? So noun clause. Now the next one, that creative writers are no more the complete masters of dash. This is also noun clause, right? You can replace it with a noun, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So both of them are going to be then nominal. They'll be performing nominal functions. Hence, they'll be noun clauses. Okay. All right. Although don't worry too much, you're not going to get such complex sentence in the exam, but good to practice them. I'll show you a few more easier ones so that you can heave a sigh of relief. I don't want you to leave with the impression that I don't know anything. So we'll do few simpler ones also. Ninth one, creative writers are frequently blind to their own intentions and to the nature of what they're doing.
Like from their own intention and to the nature of what they are doing.
Creative writers are frequently blind to their own intentions and their own and to their own intentions and to the nature of what they are doing. Hmm. Nature of Okay. Yeah. So what do you say?
Of from their own intention.
Their own intentions. No. So what is your idea? If you're choosing a subordinate clause, it should have a verb for sure. Otherwise, it cannot be considered a clause. So in this case, you don't have anything. What is your verb? If
Okay,
you're
so,
choosing from their own, right? There's nothing there.
so what they are doing is
Yeah, what they are
Yes,
doing.
that is the only subordinate clause here, right? Creative writers are frequently blind to their end. So to here is not a part of any verb. This is a preposition. What are they blind to? They're blind to their own intentions and to the nature of what they are doing. This what they are doing is the only subordinate clause you have in that sentence. Okay, although we are tempted to mark other things. What they are doing is your subordinate clause. And what kind of subordinate clause?
noun.
Noun, right? Noun clause. Usually this what kind of clauses, what clauses are usually nominal in nature. So if you see that thing in a sentence, then you can mark it off as nominal straight away. Okay, or noun clause. The last one here in this exercise, you cannot as a reader wholly appreciate the rhetorical sport of a convention or a style if you have a poor knowledge of literary language and conventions. Easy one, it's lengthy, so people may get a little confused. It's a simple sentence. It's just long. When can you not, as a reader, wholly appreciate the rhetorical sport of a convention or a style? Right? It's an answer to that question. It presents a condition. Yes. The moment you see the word if in a sentence, you know that it's a conditional statement, right? It's
Only
going to present.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if you have a poor knowledge of literary language and conventions, this is your what? Subordinate clause. And what kind of subordinate clause?
Adverbial.
Adverbial, right? Adverbial. The moment you say if, you know, this is a conditional statement and I need to mark it off as an adverbial clause. Okay, right. So uh, let's do some quick, easy ones as well, right? If some time left, and we'll catch up on that also a little bit. These, the ones that I'm going to do now, they can be easily found. I think this is also sourced from the internet. The other one was from a proper, you know, grammatical text, but this one is from, I think the source is mentioned here, englishgrammar.org, right? Subordinate clauses exercise. So let's see this one. This will be easier for you, okay, and will build your confidence on this topic. Let's see. The first one, they serve God well who serve his children.
Who serve his children?
Who
Who
serve his children. And what is this?
nominal
They
noun?
serve God well.
They serve God
Yeah,
well.
nominal, right? Nominal. Okay. Next, quarrels won't last long if the fault is only on one side.
If the fault is
Quick, are you answering now? See, if the fault is only on one side, right? And what is this? Adverbial, right? Okay, next one. That you should say so surprises me. That you should say so surprises me. That clause this is. But, yeah, tell me, what is it? Which part of this is a
that,
subordinate verb?
that you should say.
Yeah, that you should say so. Okay, the whole part, that you should say
Yes,
so.
so, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, next is your verb and then the object, right? So the first whole part has to be the subordinate clause. What kind of subordinate clause? That you should say so. So this is something that has been said, right? So what is it?
Adverbial.
Noun. That you
Noun.
should say so, right? You can replace it with another noun or a pronoun, right? He surprises me. You surprise me. She surprises me. Okay. Or the news surprises me. The announcement surprises me. Okay. His words surprise me. So if it is replaceable with another noun complex or a pronoun, then it is nominal. The function for that you should say so is nominal here. Okay, so noun or nominal subordinate clause. Fourth one, your statement that you found the money in the closet cannot be believed. Your statement that you found the money in the closet cannot be believed. What is your subordinate clause?
That you found the money.
Yes, correct. That you found the money. What is, okay, so what kind of subordinate clause?
Nominal, ma'am.
That
you found the statement.
Okay, so your statement that you found the money. Okay, the statement, it is directly linked to the statement, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you can't replace, I don't think you can add a noun or a pronoun there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's about the statement. What kind of statement, right? So, adjective, that would be the clause. Okay. I asked the next one, fifth one. I asked the boy how old he was. I asked the boy how old he was.
How old he was, ma'am?
Correct. And what kind of subordinate clause?
Oh.
Noun.
Yes, correct. I asked the boy how old he was. How old he was would be a nominal thing, right? So, like you can replace it with a noun, right? You can say, I asked the boy a question. Okay. So, any permissible noun, meaningful noun can be replaced for how old he was, right? So, nominal clause, correct. Sixth one, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Easy.
That wears the crown.
That wears the crown, right? And what kind of subordinate clause? The head that wears the crown.
Adjectival.
Adjectival, right? That wears the crown is about the head. Gives additional details about the word, the head, the phrase, the head, which is a noun. So obviously, adjectival clause because it's adding info to the noun. Seventh one, youth is the time when the seeds of character are sown. Youth is the time when the seeds, when the seeds of character and it's about the time, right? It's telling you about the time. So what would be the clause?
When the seeds of character.
Yeah, that is okay. That is subordinate clause, but what kind?
Adverbial.
That's what I was looking for from you. Okay, so don't lay yourself to the trap of this, just looking at the word. This is not an adverbial clause. What is this? Youth is the time when the seeds of character are sown. Doesn't it look more like adjectival? It is giving a description of the time, right?
Time.
Actually, I'm just unable to find that document. I think there's one that I've used for one of the previous batches that had a more descriptive thing on this, but okay, anyway. Okay, got that point. Shall we go to the eighth one? Servants who are honest are trusted.
Yes, ma'am.
Servants who are honest, where is it? Servants who are honest are trusted. Yes.
Who are honest?
Who are honest, right? Servants who are honest. Now, what is this?
Noun, ma'am. Nominal.
Noun. Can you replace it? Who are honest with a noun or a pronoun? Check.
Servants. No, ma'am.
No, right?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is an additional detail about the servants. So this has to be again
Adjectival.
adjectival, right? Servants who are honest. Okay, what kind of servants? Or the ones who are honest. Okay. Or simply you look at this. If you remove who and are, no, you're left with honest. So in other words, you can also say honest servants are trusted. What is honest there? It's an adjective. This kind of analysis also you can do to determine whether it's an adjectival, adverbial, or noun clause. Okay, ninth one. Because I like you, I'll help you.
Because I like you.
Correct. And this is
Adverbial clause, ma'am.
adverbial clause, right? Because it's giving you a reason, the reason to help you, right? So yes, correct, adverbial. 10th one, the dog followed the boy wherever he went. The dog followed the boy wherever he went. Yes.
Wherever he went.
Correct. Wherever he went.
Noun clause. Because you can replace it with something.
You can replace it with, okay, the dog followed the boy. What can you replace it with? You can replace it with a
place
Name.
or shop, something.
So then what would be the sentence like?
The
If you have
dog
to-
followed the boy to the shop.
The dog followed the boy. Will you be just able to write noun there?
No.
You will have to add two, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But maybe you can write something like everywhere. the dog followed the boy everywhere, right?
Okay.
But this is a little different case. This is won't be considered straight away as a noun clause. The dog followed the boy wherever he went. Wherever is usually used as an adverb. Okay. So
Okay.
you can call this the adverbial clause because it's giving you a sense of place.
Yes.
Wherever is usually, I mean, even on its own, it's used as an adverb. Okay, sometimes also as conjunction, but in this case, it is definitely because it's directing a particular place. It is used as an adverb. Okay, so wherever he went is an adverbial clause. Okay, even if you use everywhere, no, you will have to, I think, end up writing he went. Otherwise, it won't be grammatically right. So okay, so then this is a clear case of adverbial clause wherever he went. 11th one, if I like it, I will buy it. Easy, this one is. If I like
If
it, I'll
I,
buy it. If
if
I
I-
like it. And what is this?
if I like it.
Condition. So
If adverbial.
adverbial, right? If I like it is adverbial. 12th one, they spoke in a low voice so that the child would not wake up. They spoke in a low voice so that the child would not wake up.
So that, ma'am, so that.
Correct, correct. That's right. So that the child would not wake up. And this answers the question why, right? It's so that is usually used to present what? Reason. So what kind of adverbial clause? So that the child would not wake up. So that basically this has a subordinating conjunction, and this one is a um, adverbial subordinate clause. Okay, so that the child would not wake up. Next one, I did it because I wanted to. I did it
Because
because
I
I wanted.
wanted to.
Because I wanted to. Okay, and because I wanted to would be a
Adverbial.
an adverbial clause, right? I did it because I wanted to. It's directly giving reason. Hmm? As he was next one, 14th, as he was not there, I spoke to his mother. As he was not there, I spoke to his mother.
As he was not there.
Correct. And what is that?
Adverbial, ma'am.
Correct. Adverbial because it is giving reason.
Reason.
Yeah. 15th one, just as he entered the room, the clock struck 11. Just as he entered the room, the clock struck 11.
Just as he entered the room.
Correct. Correct. Just as he entered the room. And what is it? What kind of clause? What is it giving you information about? What is it telling you?
Adverbials, given the reason why the
Correct. Adverbial because it answers when, right? It tells you directly about the time. So adverbial clause. If you eat too much, you will fall ill. 16th one. If you
if you
eat too
eat
much,
too much.
yeah,
You
if
will.
you eat too much, right? And what is that? What kind of subordinate clause?
Adverbial.
Adverbial.
Adverbial, right? Condition, so adverbial. 17th, we asked him many questions when he returned.
When he returned.
Correct. And what is this? Here it is what? When he returned. Adverb, no? Telling you about time. When did you ask it? When he returned, right? It cannot be anything else. You cannot replace it with any. Even if you replace, it has to be an adverb, right? So we asked him many questions when he returned. When he returned is your adverbial clause. Okay. 18th. My parents were poor, though they were of noble birth. My parents were poor, though they were of noble birth.
Though they were of
Yeah, the entire part, though they were of noble birth. Okay. Now, what is this? What kind of
Region. It is showing the region.
though were of? Yes, correct. So adverbial clause, right? Again. This is not a reason, but this is what you say is a presentation of contrast. But then that is also something that is covered under adverb. It's adverb's duty to show these things, right? Okay. So adverbial clause, though they were of noble birth. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was as white as snow. 19th one. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was as white as snow.
Whose, ma'am? Whose
Whose
fleece
fleece was as white as snow. Right. And then what is this? What kind of subordinate clause?
Noun, ma'am?
Mary had a little lamb. No, it's not noun.
Whose?
Whose fleece was as white as snow?
Whose? Adverbial, ma'am? No.
No.
Adverbial.
This is adjectival, right?
Adjectival.
Correct.
Okay. Whose?
Because it is whose fleece was. Yeah, sorry.
How, ma'am? It will be.
Because you know, Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was as white as snow. So what is this part about? Who is this part about? About the little lamb, right? It's additional information about the little lamb whose fleece was as white as snow. See this?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes.
So that is why this is an adjectival clause. Okay. I still live in this could be the last one. There's actually more in this, but then all of these are collected from internet sources. You can go anywhere and practice this. Same thing. I still live in the same city where I was born.
Where I was born.
Where I was born. And what is this? Where I was born? Adverbial. Okay. This cannot be replaced. I mean, if you have to replace, you'll have to add other things. No direct replacement possible. If that is the case, then you can't say it's a noun clause. You cannot simply add the name of the city or something. Then you'll have to use a partitive phrase that is of or something. But that is not allowed in the diagnosis. Only if you can replace directly with a noun or a pronoun, then it becomes a noun clause. Otherwise, where I was born was direct indicator of the place, right? So adverbial clause. Okay, you're not allowed to add anything extra. You have to use just for the replacement test diagnostics, you only see if another noun or pronoun can be put in the place, not other things along with the noun. Okay, so this is what an adverbial clause. Got this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So you can practice more like this. This one, how was this one? This was a little easier than the one that we did, no? The first 10 sentences, which we spent about half an hour on. Right? This is easier. This is easier because they're small and they're also smaller chunks of sentence. Bigger sentences also work the same way, but it's probably because you don't read that much of prose, so you find it difficult. But people who read more, they will not find it difficult to understand these things. Okay, so don't worry about it. We don't usually give complicated questions for the exam. If you understand, if you're able to answer these 20 questions properly, then you can be confident enough to answer it properly for your quiz also. Okay. All right. Anything, any questions, any doubts or confusions that you have regarding anything? Probably we won't be meeting before the quiz now. So whatever topics remains, we'll only take up after that. So if there are any quick questions, you can ask, or else, of course, you have the live session tomorrow. You can save it for that as well. All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. Then I'll see you after your quiz, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. See you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, ma'am.
Okay. Bye.